from killing a SWAT officer.
Now to the retrial of a Mongols motorcycle gang member who admits he shot and killed Pomona SWAT officer Sean Diamond back in 2014.
To the members cooperating with the law enforcement.
The Mongols Motorcycle Club wants a new trial and says its former leader, David Santillan, was secretly acting as a confidential informant for the ATF.
Here, the 10 the most dangerous Mongols in history. Number 10, David Santillan, aka Little Dave. When someone crossed the Mongols, they sent Little Dave. And when Little Dave showed up, problems got solved. David Santillan, known as Little Dave, wasn't the biggest guy in the club. But in the Mongols, respect isn't about size. It's about willingness. And Little Dave was willing to do anything. His job was simple: collect debts, intimidate rivals. In the early 2000s, a drug dealer in the San Gabriel Valley owed the Mongols $20,000. He thought he could disappear. He was wrong. Little Dave found him at a warehouse. No guns, no knives, just his fists and a message. By the time he was done, the dealer was hospitalized for 3 weeks. But here's the thing, he paid. Everyone who heard about it paid. Little Dave understood something crucial. Violence isn't just about hurting people, it's about reputation. One brutal beating prevents 10 future problems. And Little Dave built that reputation methodically, one broken bone at a time. He eventually became national president in 2015, leading the club through one of its most turbulent periods. Under his leadership, the Mongols fought a legal battle with the federal government trying to strip their trademark patches. Little Dave became the public face of the club, appearing in court and media interviews. But his enforcer days never left him. Even as president, he made it clear that crossing the Mongols meant answering to him personally. Then came the allegations. In 2021, a leaked video showed Little Dave drunk and emotional, talking about ATF agent John Ciccone saying, "He can't protect me anymore." The Mongols accused him of being an informant.
Told me already, I have 1 year. 1 year. He's retiring. He's retiring. After 1 year, he's done. And he can't protect me. He told me. So we have to have an exit strategy.
His own club turned on him, and the man who once enforced loyalty became the one accused of betrayal. But enforcement is just business. Our next member made it personal. Number 9, Christopher Ablett. September 3rd, 2008, San Francisco, Mark Papa Guardado, the president of Hells Angels San Francisco. Chapter was walking to his motorcycle, not knowing that a rival Mongol, Christopher Ablett, was waiting with a gun. When Guardado came close, Ablett opened fire at point-blank range. Ablett then calmly walked away and disappeared into the city. This was a calculated execution ordered by the Mongols as retaliation in their ongoing war with the Hells Angels. Ablett went into hiding immediately. The FBI launched a massive manhunt, but he had vanished. For over a month, the Mongols moved the Ablett between safe houses, keeping him away from both law enforcement and Hells Angels members hunting for revenge. The club protected him because he had done what many members only talked about. He'd killed a Hells Angels president. But on a Sunday afternoon in October 2008, something unexpected happened. Ablett walked into police headquarters in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, buzzed for assistance, and said he wanted to surrender. He was extradited back to California and delivered to San Francisco County Jail, where he was held on $5 million bail in a high-security unit. The question everyone asked was, why surrender? Some speculated he couldn't handle being on the run. Others believed the Mongols told him to turn himself in to avoid a violent confrontation with authorities. Whatever the reason, Ablett was now facing murder charges. At trial, prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence. His defense claimed self-defense, arguing Guardado was armed and aggressive. But evidence showed Guardado was shot while trying to get away. In 2012, Christopher "Stoney" Ablett was convicted of first-degree murder. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. During sentencing, he showed no remorse. When given a chance to speak, he said only, "I did what needed to be done." He's currently serving his sentence at a California maximum security facility. The killing of Papa Guardado escalated the Mongols' Hells Angels war to new levels. After his death, violence between the clubs intensified across the state. Law enforcement began treating both organizations as criminal enterprises subject to RICO prosecution. Ablet became a legend in the Mongols. He'd assassinated an enemy president and for a brief time disappeared. Even from prison, his name carries weight. He did the job, turned himself in, and never cooperated with authorities. But Ablet was just one shooter targeting one man. Our next member was a professional who turned killing into a career. Number 8. Anthony Trimboli. March 8, 2025. Daytona Bike Week, a racetrack gas station in New Smyrna Beach. What started as a routine gas stop turned into a war zone in minutes. Anthony Trimboli, a 35-year-old Mongols member, was part of a coordinated attack that would shock even law enforcement veterans. He was associated with the South End chapter of the Mongols, which has a clubhouse located in Edgewater, Florida. And what happened that day would lead to one of the largest gang crackdowns in Florida history. The Warlocks motorcycle gang had gathered at the racetrack to ride into Daytona Beach on the last Saturday of Bike Week. Within 13 minutes of them arriving, over 30 Mongols members rode in from their clubhouse. Trimboli was among them, riding with the South End chapter of the Mongols, which operates out of Edgewater, Florida. Trimboli was shot in the abdomen during the brawl. Another biker, a Warlock, suffered a grazing gunshot wound to the head, but both refused to complete statements about being shot. When questioned, both claimed their wounds were from accidental discharges. In outlaw culture, you don't cooperate with police, even when you're the victim. The FBI, Homeland Security, U.S. Marshals, and Florida law enforcement launched Operation Mongolian Beef. Over 4 months, they executed 14 search warrants across multiple states, including raids on the South End chapter's Edgewater clubhouse.
This violent biker gang brawl turned shooting during Bike Week this year landed more than 24 alleged gang members in handcuffs today. It was all part of Operation Mongolian Beef.
28 Mongols members were arrested. Trimboli was charged with aggravated rioting and conspiracy with gang enhancement. Trimboli was arrested in July, released on bond in August, then jailed again for violating his release by traveling to Volusia County. At his court appearance, Trimboli's bald head was covered in tattoos. The Mongols' symbol, a caricature of Genghis Khan, the letters Reuben, respect few, fear none, a rose, a scorpion. His body was a walking billboard for the club. Operation Mongolian Beef became one of the largest coordinated takedowns of Mongols members in recent history, involving agencies from Jacksonville to Miami, Richmond to Charlotte. As of now, Trimboli remains in Volusia County Branch Jail, awaiting trial. He faces up to 15 years in prison on the aggravated rioting charges. And he's not alone. 27 other Mongols members are facing the same charges, with 3 suspects still at large. The South End chapter's actions that day didn't just land them in jail, they proved the Mongols' violent reputation isn't history. It's still happening right now, but public brawls are just the surface. Our next member took the violence somewhere far more calculated. Number 7. Emerson Redbeard Morris. Morris earned his nickname from his massive red beard that made him instantly recognizable anywhere he rode. As president of the San Diego chapter in the mid-1970s, he was building the Mongols into something the Hells Angels couldn't ignore. The Hells Angels had rejected Hispanic bikers from joining their club. So Morris and other founding members said, fine, we'll build our own. And we'll build it right in your backyard. Under Morris's leadership, the San Diego chapter expanded aggressively. They claimed territory. They recruited heavily. By 1977, the Mongols had grown from a small group of outcasts to a legitimate threat to Hells Angels' dominance in Southern California. September 5, 1977, Morris and fellow Mongol Raymond Jingles Smith were riding home from a bike run. Morris's wife, Dolores, was riding on the back of his motorcycle. They had no idea an ambush was waiting. A group of Hells Angels had been tracking them. When Morris, Smith, and Dolores were isolated on the highway, the Hells Angels opened fire. Gunfire tore through both motorcycles. Morris and Smith died on the highway. Dolores survived but was left paralyzed from the bullets. The Hells Angels had killed 2 Mongols leaders and crippled an innocent woman. But the Hells Angels weren't done sending their message. While Morris and Smith's bodies lay at the Conrad mortuary awaiting burial, someone delivered a bouquet to the funeral home. Red and white flowers, the colors of the Hells Angels, a final insult to the dead. Then came the car bomb. An explosion ripped through a vehicle outside the mortuary, wounding 2 more Mongols who had come to pay respects. The Hells Angels had turned a funeral into a war zone. The murder of Redbeard Morris changed the Mongols forever. Before that day, they were just another motorcycle club fighting for space. But the Mongols heard a different message. Never forget, never forgive, never back down. In outlaw culture, martyrs are forever. Redbeard Morris became the Mongols' first martyr, and the war he started in 1977 is still being fought today. Morris built a club. The Hells Angels turned it into an army, and our next member became one of the most violent soldiers in that army. Number 6, Reuben "Doc" Cavazos. Doc didn't just run the Mongols. He transformed them from a gang of drunken old men into a global criminal empire. And when he fell, the betrayal was worse than anything he'd done. Reuben Cavazos was born in Los Angeles in the mid-1950s and raised in Highland Park. He started in the streets, joining a Mexican gang called the Avenues before finding his way to the Mongols. He earned the nickname Doc because he was a licensed radiology technician. In a world of career criminals, Doc had an education and a legitimate skill. When he became national president of the Mongols in the late 1990s, Cavazos had a vision. He wanted to change the Mongols from disrespected old bikers into a feared organization that could handle themselves even when outnumbered. His strategy was radical. He started recruiting heavily from Southern California street gangs. Gang members who'd never owned or ridden a motorcycle in their lives suddenly became Mongols. This explosive growth came with a price. The Mongols had an alliance with the Mexican mafia, La M. But La M wanted to tax the club for recruiting from their gang base. Doc refused. He declared the Mongols tax-free from La M, damaging their relationship permanently. In 2004, the consequences hit hard. Violent encounters erupted between La M and the Mongols. At one party, gang members recognized a Mongol as a former Sureño with a green light, a hit approved by La M. A battle broke out. A Mongol was killed, others seriously injured. Meanwhile, Doc was expanding the Mongols internationally. He established chapters in 14 states and 6 countries: Germany, Australia, Mexico. He opened legitimate businesses, motorcycle repair shops, tattoo parlors, security companies, all fronts for laundering drug money. Behind those businesses, Doc built connections with Mexican cartels. The Mongols became distributors for methamphetamine and cocaine across the United States. Conservative estimates put the operation at $20 million annually. In 2008, he published a book, Honor Few, Fear None: The Life and Times of a Mongol. He detailed the club's history, battles with Hells Angels, and stories of violence and drug dealing. The ATF used that book as evidence. Every story Doc told became an admission. On October 21, 2008, Operation Black Rain launched. Over 60 Mongols were arrested, including Doc. The 86-count federal indictment charged them with murders, hate crimes, weapons, offenses, and drug trafficking. Authorities seized 71 firearms, an explosive device, and 6 pounds of meth. They executed 162 search warrants nationwide. But the real blow came when Doc came to know that ATF agents had infiltrated the Mongols and become full patch members. They'd been questioned, even polygraphed by the club. 4 male agents brought in 4 female agents posing as girlfriends. The Mongols never suspected. In 2009, Doc pled guilty and was sentenced to 14 years in federal prison. But here's where it gets suspicious. He only served 14 months. Many Mongols believe Doc cooperated with the feds from the beginning. He admitted early on that he led a murdering, drug-dealing conspiracy. That's not typical behavior for a 1%er. But the club had already moved on. In 2008, before his arrest, the Mongols voted to remove Doc from office and permanently expel him. They suspected him of stealing and endangering the club with the La M War. He's still alive somewhere in the United States. The Mongols don't talk about him. His name was erased from club history. In outlaw culture, there's no worse crime than being a rat. And Doc Cavazos will forever be remembered as the man who built an empire, then betrayed it. Doc expanded the club globally, but the next leader went the opposite direction, building power locally through absolute brutality. Number 5, Roger Pinney. He was once the national president of the Mongols Motorcycle Club, a man who rode at the very top of the outlaw world. Roger Pinney wasn't a street-level rider. He was a strategist. one of the key figures who helped shape the Mongols through the 1990s and early 2000s. His name first made national headlines after the Laughlin River Run riot in 2002, when a brutal casino brawl between the Mongols and the Hells Angels left 3 men dead. Pinney was among those stabbed and hospitalized that night, a stark reminder of just how violent the biker wars had become. In the years that followed, the law closed in. Investigators tied dozens of Mongols to the fight. Pinney, then in his early 60s, eventually pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit battery, a lesser charge that ended with probation rather than a lengthy prison term. By 2008, during the massive Operation Black Rain raids that targeted Mongols' leadership nationwide, Pinney had already stepped away from the club. Once known as Mr. President, he appeared in interviews as a former leader, criticizing the direction the Mongols had taken under new management and reflecting on the chaos that tore the brotherhood apart. After that, he vanished from the public eye, not in a blaze of mystery or violence, but in silence. There are no credible reports that he ever worked with the ATF, entered witness protection, or was murdered for betrayal. What's clear is that he walked away from the life that had defined him for decades: the patch, the politics, the constant war. Roger Pinney remains one of the few Mongols presidents who survived both the streets and the spotlight. Number 4, Jesse Ventura. Before the fame, before politics, Jesse Ventura wasn't the body. He was Superman, the nickname given to him by the Mongols Motorcycle Club. Near the end of his Navy service in the early 1970s, Ventura found a second brotherhood, the South Bay chapter of the Mongols in San Diego. He'd ride his Harley-Davidson right onto Naval Base Coronado, wearing his Mongol colors in plain sight. According to Ventura, he wasn't just a hanger-on. He was a full-patch member, even serving as third in command of his chapter. To the Mongols, he was a brother. To the Navy, he was a rebel in uniform. But Ventura says he never had trouble with the authorities. For him, the club wasn't about crime. It was about belonging. A way to transition from the rigid structure of military life to the unpredictable rhythm of civilian life. In 1974, Ventura left the club and returned to Minnesota. Not long after, the Mongols went to war with their oldest rivals, the Hells Angels, in a feud that would define both clubs for decades. Years later, in 2018, Ventura returned to the Mongols' orbit, not as a biker, but as a witness. In a federal racketeering trial in Santa Ana, he defended the club against government claims that it was a criminal organization. Ventura testified proudly, saying he remained an inactive member and that the Mongols had helped him when, in his words, the rest of the world wasn't there. He wasn't the most violent or the most feared, but his time with the Mongols shows something deeper. The line between brotherhood and outlaw life can be razor thin, because for every man who left the club behind like Ventura, there were others who never did. And our next member was one of them. Number 3, Justin Delerto. Justin Delerto was more than just a member of the Mongols Motorcycle Club. He was one of its most prominent leaders. Serving as a chapter president for over 15 years, Delerto played a major role in the club's operations across Oregon, Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. His influence even extended overseas, helping to establish one of the largest Mongols chapters in Australia, which later became a launching point for the club's expansion into Asia. Throughout his time with the Mongols, Delerto experienced every aspect of outlaw biker life, from initiation and prospecting to earning the patch that symbolized full membership. He's spoken openly about the brotherhood within the club, describing it as both a source of strength and, at times, danger. Delerto has shed light on the Mongols' rivalries with the Hells Angels and Outlaws, as well as their alignment with the pagans, which added even more complexity to the national biker landscape. He's recounted the chaotic atmosphere of Mongols' parties, the strict codes of loyalty, and the way women known in club culture as old ladies were treated within that world. But Delerto's story also exposes the corruption and internal power struggles that plagued the Mongols' leadership, particularly under figures like Reuben Cavazos. He's spoken about the aftermath of Operation Black Rain, the massive federal crackdown that targeted the Mongols and led to widespread arrests, surveillance, and infiltration by undercover ATF agents. Through it all, Justin Delereto's story reflects both the loyalty and the turmoil that come with life inside one of America's most infamous outlaw motorcycle clubs, a world where power, brotherhood, and betrayal collide under the roar of the engines. Number 2, Mark Balsili. Mark Balsili was the son of a respected former Victoria police officer, Andrew Balsili. But Mark's life took a drastically different path, one that led him deep into the criminal underworld. Balsili's outlaw career stretches across multiple clubs. Before joining the Mongols, he was a member of the Comancheros, another major Australian gang. His connections and reputation led the Mongols to send him to Russia, where he helped patch over members from rival clubs, expanding the Mongols' international influence. In 2017, his life nearly ended when he was shot 7 times in the arms, legs, and stomach by a former Comanchero associate. The attacker fled to Turkey, and no one was ever charged. The shooting left Balsili with chronic pain and trauma, marking a turning point in his life. He began using cocaine to manage the pain, which soon developed into daily dependency. By 2018, following the collapse of his marriage, his substance use spiraled further. In July 2020, detectives from the Echo and Trident task forces raided his Melbourne home, finding 130 grams of cocaine hidden throughout his kitchen, including a stash inside a Just Right cereal box, along with testosterone, human growth hormone, and encrypted phones. Balsili admitted he had been trafficking cocaine to sustain his addiction. During sentencing, he pleaded guilty to possessing and trafficking cocaine, as well as drug possession. Judge Robert Brooks accepted that Balsili had shown genuine reform, noting he had abstained from drugs for over 2 years, was no longer affiliated with the Mongols, and was rebuilding his life. He received a 3-year community corrections order, including mandatory mental health and addiction treatment. The court acknowledged his efforts to recover and his plans to remarry, with both his current partner and ex-wife providing character references supporting his rehabilitation, now striving to rebuild a normal life. His father's legacy in law enforcement, his near-death experience, and his eventual reform form a narrative rarely seen in outlaw circles. Number 1, William Billy Queen. He was an ATF agent, one who spent nearly 2.5 years living among them. His mission was simple: gather enough evidence to cripple the club from the inside. In 1998, veteran federal agent William Billy Queen went undercover as Billy St. John, posing as a down-on-his-luck biker. He joined the Mongols' San Fernando Valley chapter and endured every test they threw at him. Over 28 months, he gained their trust, even rising to the role of secretary and treasurer within the chapter. What the Mongols didn't know was that Queen was secretly recording everything: drug deals, weapons trafficking, and violent confrontations. The evidence he collected became the foe-making decisions of the Collecting Profit-Ons ever launched against the club. In May 2000, federal agents moved in. More than 50 Mongols were arrested across California in coordinated raids. The case exposed the club's criminal network and marked a major victory for federal law enforcement. After the operation, Queen retired from the ATF and later revealed his story in the 2005 book, Under and Alone. It detailed his infiltration of the Mongols and the toll of living undercover for years. To this day, William Billy Queen remains one of the most infamous figures in Mongols history, not because he fought them, but because he fooled them. In the outlaw biker world, loyalty is everything and betrayal is unforgivable. Some vanished, some reformed, and others still ride. But soon, one event would shake that world to its core, changing everything they thought would last forever. Click on the next video to see how it all unfolded.